fact that women today in relationships can turn around and say no. Like, this relationship is not working out for me.
It's on Jio Cinema Premium. It's an app that's really easy to get. And it's a movie called Khwaabon Ka Jhamela. It's a delightful film. I saw it last night. I highly advocate all of you go and watch it. It's directed by Danish Aslam, who's here. Danish!
Hey!
Hey!
Thank you for saying vibrant things about my t-shirt.
I mean, it deserves vibrant things said about it.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. The wonderful Kubbra Sait. Hello, darling.
Hey, how are you?
Very well.
Thank you for watching our film yesterday.
Yes, I loved it. Shiny, welcome.
Thank you.
Shiny has been to 3 different offices of mine over the sands of time, unflinchingly so. And so is Prateik. Hi, Prateik Baba.
Always as lovely,
Such a
Rishi.
pleasure.
Thank you for having us.
I love that you would make a modern day film on relationships and about marriages not necessarily working out when you're in a very happy marriage, Danish Aslam.
Yay!
Yes. It's been.
But I always feel
14 years.
that men in marriages will always have a take which is the complete opposite of the state of their marriage.
And often the complete opposite
that they want to tell. So tell me about the story. Tell me about how you wrote it. How much time did you spend before you finally fleshed it out?
So the story idea was actually already in place. Harman and Vicky, the producers on the film, came to me with a story, a script of sorts, which I read, and I liked the basic skeleton of, but I wanted to change everything else about it. So I changed the ending, I changed Shayu's character, I changed her profession, I removed characters from the original script. A lot of stuff happened, but essentially when I pitched it back to them in Jio, they liked it. So what I wanted to do was I liked the idea of telling a coming of age story but wrapped within a rom-com, within the wrapper of the kind of modern urban rom-com that used to be made in the 2010s, back when I was an AD and just fresh out of college, but has kind of gone away for the last decade or so from Indian cinema. We've shifted our focus to the Badhais and the Barelis of the world, which are lovely films in their own rights, but they're a slightly different genre. They're more drama heavy, they're more messaging heavy. So that, and I also liked the idea of telling the story of this guy who is so bad in bed that he puts his girlfriend to sleep, which is Kubbra.
But there is retribution at the end of the day. To Prateek's benefit, that must be said.
Yes, that was basically, I mean, I wanted to make a rom-com. Essentially was the motivation behind it, and I felt that this was a good story and it had the potential, and because today you can make a rom-com like they used to be made back in the day, but you don't need to necessarily follow all the same conventional tropes, like of happy endings, pun unintended, and other relationships between the boy and girl necessarily having to be instantly romantic and things like that. So I wanted to update it for the modern lingo.
Danish made an interesting rom-com called Break Ke Baad back in the day. I remember very well because Nuki, which is Renuka Kunjru, used to work at the same radio station that I did.
Yeah, she did.
And I remember consuming many beverages and having many conversations with her about that film. The soundtrack, of course, was flying.
Thank you.
And it still makes it to my playlist, Lots of times I just feel like a break ke baad day. And, there'll be music from it. So well done on that. And the Baveja he's talking about is Harman Baveja. Because I'm such a dinosaur and I've been around for a while, I can never forget. Harry Baveja, Harman's dad, had made a film called Qayamat, which had Neha Dupia. And Neha called and she said, we must do an interview and I will bring my director with him. And I made the cardinal mistake of asking a Punjabi man. You should never. I said, Harry Baveja. I said, sir, what's your real name? Oh my God. He was very sporting about it. You can't ask a Punjabi man what he's called when he's called Harry. Harry is my name. So I was like, no, but is it short for Harpreet? Is it short for Harman? So I can never forget that.
But maybe he learned from there and he named his son Harman.
Harman could also technically be Harry.
Harry, yes. We're not discussing this. At the risk of offending more Punjabis.
No, but I'm really happy that Harman has found his groove as far as producing is concerned, because he's an interesting film mind.
Yeah.
I've always
He's
thought
got
so.
multiple projects in the pipeline.
Yeah.
Very interesting stories.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he's got another one in the pipeline. I met Supratik
The remake
at...
of Great Indian Kitchen is one of them.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Mrs.
I met Supratik at the
I don't
He's the
Pujo.
same.
This producer called Supratik, and Harman's doing a
Yes.
film also with Supratik. So that's interesting.
There you go, Harman. Happy we plugged you.
I was very surprised when Gehraiyan released, because I didn't know that the concept of an intimacy director in motion pictures existed till that point in time. And you know, I remember at that time I was given a detailed explanation by the cast and this and that, and I'm so happy you're playing an intimacy director. You obviously knew what that meant. You're an ignoramus like myself, but that itself is a very, very interesting part to play.
Yeah.
I don't see in modern cinema anybody playing an intimacy director, because in Gehraiyan there was an intimacy director on the set, which is what they explained to me.
That's right.
But you're playing one. Talk to me about that.
It's actually called an intimacy coordinator. I am really happy, and when Danish, I remember the first time he suggested that I played an intimacy coordinator, I was like, oh my god, yes. Because for one, I had worked with intimacy directors over the course of, you know, the different films I've done. As early as 2013, when we were doing Margarita with a Straw, we had this lovely person called Monsoon Bissell in New York who did that with Kalki and I. And even Adil Hussain, who was workshopping with us for that film, also did intimacy sort of workshopping with us, you know. And it was about comfort, it was also choreographing the scenes. So I was obviously aware of such a thing. One didn't really come across anybody doing that in India, but Astha, who did it for Gehraiyan and then later did it for us for Fomo Shot season 3. In fact, today morning I got a message from her saying we are so
sorry to cut you. Also Cobalt Blue.
So now that she
Which is Dar. No.
no,
Anyway, continue.
yeah. And now a lot of, she was the first one who started it, and you have to go abroad and do a course and things like that, and a lot of people have followed suit after her. So, you know, I know another friend called Akshay who's now become an intimacy coordinator in India. So she in fact messaged me today morning saying, thank you for playing an intimacy coordinator, we are all really stoked. And I think it's never been, I don't think, let alone India, I don't think anywhere in the world, I could be wrong, but anyone's ever played an intimacy coordinator. So I think it could be like the first time ever that that profession is shown on screen.
Limka Chodo, we're going straight to Guinness Book of World Records.
That's beautiful.
There's the first intimacy coordinator, and also I think we're the first movie to cast Indian movie to cast a non-binary person.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yes, a real non-binary person. Yeah.
Lovely. That's lovely. And it really warms the cockles of my heart that both Kubbra as well as Prateik are playing Parsis. Some of my closest friends are Parsis. The joie de vivre they bring to the table, they're just wonderful.
I love Parsis.
And you know, and honestly, the Parsi community is not just about, you know, khawanu, piwanu and this and that. But they're also very quirky.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yes.
And
Wicked sense of humor. Wicked sense of humor, yes.
So that must have just pleased you, saying, wow. And growing up in Bombay, you must have enough Parsi friends. And you must have gone to the Khusro Bags of this world. and met so many families.
Yes, I have, you see. I have a few friends in Khusro Bagh even now. But listen, hey, they're a wonderful clan of people, I think. And they're so unique, and you know, we've seen Parsi characters in films for so many years. You know,
Unfortunately, I haven't enjoyed the portrayal.
It's a bit
too much.
Yeah, it's been a bit.
But to Danish's credit, you know, he's let you guys be.
Absolutely
Wonderful.
Absolutely, yes. Also, I've gotten a few compliments from my Parsi friends that I do look Parsi, you know, and especially in this film. And then someone, I think Mr. Arshad Warsi told me that, look, dude, you look Bawa. I'm like,
You are Baba also.
From a Parsi, that's the highest compliment you
Yeah,
can get.
ever.
is he Parsi?
Huh? No, he's not. But I'm saying that from the Parsi friends who told
Oh,
me
yes,
that,
yes.
That's
yes,
the highest compliment. you can
Hey,
give.
you bro, you look Baba. No, but you know what? We also had my father was actually Parsi in the film. Who
He
played?
just said father.
Yes.
And
yes.
he's wonderful. Lilith and him are wonderful choices.
Thanks.
Yes, yes, and he brought the energy. Rishi, he brought the and I remember speaking to Danish. I'm like, listen, who's playing my dad and who's my family? Can we have some dialogue sessions with them or just kind of jam with them to figure out? Because I want to sound like their son. You know, I don't want to sound like a totally different person. But I think he came to set and he brought it. He brought the energy and he was just he was so much fun. He was a great guy. And we had a great scene, Kubbra and myself and my parents.
Yeah.
We had a great scene. And he's a lovely guy. Listen, I'm so glad I could play this character, Zubin, Ready Money.
Still good.
Yeah, Zubin, Ready Money, who's always ready with his money.
I have people's money also.
Yeah, he knows how to sort everybody else's
Yeah.
money also.
But in former shots also he plays a Parsi.
Yes,
I couldn't tell what his
Jay Wadia.
Jay Wadia.
Wadia. Makes sense. Wadia is a Wadia.
Wadia.
But Kubbra, there are advantages of being non-Parsi.
Kubbra was Parsi.
This is so cool because I've always been told I look Punjabi and I am neither.
I get Parsi a lot.
You get Parsi?
also,
I was an AD on Being
you-
Cyrus, which was all full of Parsis, and they all used to call me Dinshaw by the end of it. They refused to call me that. Darius, Dinshaw, they all spoke to me in
You'll
Gujarati
be a
every
good
day.
Darius. You'll look
Yeah.
like a Darius.
Yeah, their eyes.
Sorry.
Yeah, for sure.
So you know, honestly, Kubbra, it is an advantage being a non-Parsi person playing Parsi. I'll tell you why.
What?
So Jim Sarb does Rocket Boys.
Yes.
And I'm like, man, you must be the pride of the Parsi community because you played this icon. Homi Baba is an icon of the Parsi community. He said, are you kidding me? So I said, what? He said, I thought I would be, score brownie points amongst the Parsis. I walk into the NCPA before the release of Rocket Boys to watch some Western classical music performance. And a geriatric Parsi meets me in the driveway and says, Sir, you're playing Homi Baba? She says, your oh my god. So of course that will be deep. And Sarb was like, I was like, Sarb, you are a piece of cake. Are you kidding me? There's so much of pressure on me. And so thank God. No pressure.
I had no pressure.
All real-life characters were related or harmed in the making.
Or half of the making, yeah. But
I think the
it
only
is a
pressure
problem.
that I had was, to be able to like stay true to Shehnaz as a character. And I think stay true to, just the fact that women today in relationships can turn around and say no. Like this relationship is not working out for me. I found that very empowering, as Shehnaz's trajectory and the way, she does. Where, there's one part of this entire journey where there is a Shayoni who's playing a Ruby, who's like putting pieces. But she's aware that these are pieces that she needs to put together. And that's what she's helping, Zubin's character do. And somehow when the first ever conversation happens between Ruby and Shehnaz, they're able to vocalize their broken pieces together. And I think that is fantastic
beautiful,
for
yeah,
me
yeah.
to experience as an actor, for me to experience as a character. And I even wrote this on my Instagram caption. I think Shehnaz found so much relief in saying no that I think in some strange way, Kubbra, the person that I am, I learned how to say no, and it's really empowering. Yeah,
That's lovely.
so I appreciate you, Prat, for letting me say no so
Right on.
convincingly. Thank you.
She's a champion of your film because I met her at the Bollywood Hangama panel discussion a while ago. And we were just sitting and chatting, and she was already promoting your film. What more can you ask for of the actors?
Yeah.
But there is something to be said about Parsis wanting to mate with each other or get married to each other because they're like the tiger. I mean, the species is dwindling.
There's please. I have to cut you. A friend of mine actually, he's very funny Parsi a man, boy.
There's one
friend.
funny Parsi man boy.
Yes. Even though this man is just he's Anyway, I'm gonna narrate the story to you. He was like, you know what, Brad? We Parsis, you know, when we look at each other across the street, if we find each other, you know, and we look at each other, we have this connection, and we know that we're special, and we're getting extinct, and so we know. It's like the tigers. Exactly what you said. It's like the tigers looking at each other, and you know, they have this. Listen, we're rare. You know, we're rare, and we're getting extinct. But like as you said, though, they want to marry within the community.
And the panchayats are doing that, aren't they, Danish? I mean, the idea is to get them to meet each other.
Yeah.
You know, dates are set up and this and that, obviously, so that the population can increase. And why not?
Yeah,
you
why
know,
not?
so
Why not?
and I think that's a unique real life predicament that this couple finds themselves in.
Yeah.
Like, you
And she even says that you
Yes,
want to marry
she
me
says.
because I'm a Parsi.
I'm a
Even
Parsi.
the
Exactly,
international
yeah.
Zoroastrian meet that I've shown in the film
Yeah,
where they
yeah.
land up.
Correct.
That's a real thing.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
That happens in a different country every year.
Yeah, I know a guy called Arzan Sam Wadia who went to the New York one.
Yeah.
And he was telling me about this. He was saying this it's quite fabulous. What is
It's a dating app, like, you know, not an app, but like an
Yeah.
offline dating.
No, that's
meet and
separate.
greet.
I'm saying this is like a global
A
conference that
congress.
happens every
Yeah,
year where the younger generations meet
there are
and they
only
promote kind of, you know,
75
eventually
people
they're
there.
kind of
I wonder if-
silently promoting also
I
get
wonder if
together.
it's like a potluck situation. Does every Parsi bring some food?
Every Parsi is incredible. by the way.
Oh my god!
Child of
Parsi
this,
food.
eligible for marriage.
In fact, I've had the
My
best
God.
Parsi food in Jim's house, actually. You know?
Really?
Oh my god.
Dansa.
Like,
Much.
a full like spread. Most
The Sally
amazing.
food, you know?
Yeah, they're into the finer things in life.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they really
yeah.
are.
Yeah, my
And that
best friend
lagadu
is Parsi.
custard and everything. Oh, we could go on and on.
Yeah.
Khawanu, pivanu,
And
mata.
they're really
How many-
particular. Like my best friend's Parsi, and I don't think like Zubin's character was far from the grain at all. Like they are really meticulous. They need their things in a certain way. They need to be a certain way. It's incredible to watch
He
them.
was just slightly
perform.
less abusive on an average than a normal Parsi would be.
He just said, yeah.
The language was a little less colorful.
Kodai.
Right.
Weren't you, after working and knowing Homi for such a long time, Homi at Ajanya, instinctively wanting to write those expletives, but having to hold back?
There are 2 books.
Yeah, there is one.
On-
Suni's written
Yes,
that. Sunita.
I referenced it. I used that while writing the script.
Expletives,
That's
yeah.
2 volumes.
Parsi galis.
Parsi galis. Just Parsi galis. So that
This is the Oscar Award-winning screenplay writer, Suni Tarapurwala.
I know Sunita
Yeah,
Purwala.
she's
Her
written
film is
that.
just
Books
coming
on
out.
Parsi insults. It's
Oh
brilliant.
my god. Can you please send these
I love the fact that the community has its own book of galis.
That's lovely.
Incredible.
What is of also particular interest to me is the father-daughter relationship. I thought it was dealt with very beautifully, Danish, and well done on that.
Yes, yes.
And in the hands of lesser actors, it could have gone to shit. But both Danish and
वो नाम
Shiny
में ही
have
कुछ
done,
कमाल है.
they've done such a great job. Yeah,
We
And I would
call each
love-
other Todd.
yeah. I
The
would-
other Danish.
Yeah, the other Danish. Yeah, okay, Todd.
And my brother is Danish.
Yeah, of
Oh
course.
yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, but carry on.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
But I find
तारीफ
it
कर रहे हैं, करने दो.
fascinating. Tareef to kari now. I was found it fascinating that Umar Khayyam's Rubaiyat would find place in a modern rom-com at strategic points. You know, not just quoting from it, but it also being around. Tell me about that. And then I'll get Shiny to talk about the Danish and her.
So while I was writing it, I wanted something that kind of was a leitmotif through the film, that kind of carried the message of the film in a nice poetic way, but also without being too, you know, like it couldn't. And it actually was interesting because I found the quotes in English. You know, this moment is your life, and so on and so forth, which are quite famous. And I didn't, for one of them, I didn't know was from the Rubaiyat. And then the process started of trying to translate them, which I sent to 5 different people to get it back, and nobody could do it properly. So the bigger challenge was that, and finally Kausar, who I've thanked in the beginning of the film, she Kausar Munir. I just sent her the lines, and within 5 minutes I got like 5 replies with the verses, and I said, this is perfect, this is exactly what I need to use it. Umar Khayyam for me was like you know, it's one of those templates, like you reference Rubaiyat Umar Khayyam, everybody's heard of it. So most people may not know exactly what the lines in the verses are, so I felt that worked. It gave just enough legitimacy to the lines, but at the same time there was an element of curiosity, because you were like, oh acha, this is from Rubaiyat, I didn't know that.
And Danish, there's no killing in this at all. I refer to previous work. which is nice. I mean, it just shows your versatility as a maker. So let's come to that. You see, it's not as though father-son or father-daughter relationships, fractured relationships have not been represented in cinema. My mind immediately went back to Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara, where Farhan meets Naseer Saab. Totally different, circumstances. There was a lot of tension in the air. But even though these people have a tense past, not for a moment did I feel tension in those scenes. Because you guys played it, hey, we've got history, but that's the way it is. She says, I've moved on. He hasn't, but at the same time, he's given her those wings. Those scenes are so lovely in his house. So talk to me about that. I mean, did you guys read before? Do lots of takes?
Her house.
In her house. You're there, but you don't speak as much because there's a lot of the father-daughter happening.
Yes, her house. Correct.
Yeah, her house. Yes. So talk to me about that. Meeting your father after a long time, and those conversations. He goes Rubaiyat and you go Ruby. The mother,
Ruby.
the cafe, all those things talked about.
Beswadi
The pain, the conjuicy, It's like two people when they meet each other after a long time and then fractured relationships always throw brickbats at each other. But it was done so seamlessly that one didn't feel the tension that one normally feels.
Firstly, it's good writing.
Yeah, it is.
For an actor, there is nothing beyond. You can be the most gifted actor in the world. If you don't have a good foundation, there's nothing you can do. I mean, I'm generally speaking, right? So the scenes, in fact, Danish and I, on the way here, we were talking about how the father-daughter scenes and the scene with the two girls have been, everyone, in fact, have spoken about those scenes because there's something extremely genuine and extremely humane in those scenes, that you don't really get you haven't seen a lot in films. Interestingly enough, Danish Hussain, who is one of the most fabulous actors, he's stunning on stage, he's fabulous on screen, extremely giving, extremely collaborative as an actor. Of course, Danish and I know each other for so long, but we hadn't really practice the lines as much. For example, Prateik and I actually did a lot of workshopping, spent a lot of time. Like when you see Ruby, and she's a character, right? There are a lot of things that you don't get ki aise kyun hai? Matlab, why is she like this? Because wo thodi atpati si hai. She's really free. She has no there is nothing that is too much for her. Everything is fine as long as there is consent. She's a really free spirit. But something is my mother watched the film and, there was an interval because we were watching it at PVR and she was like, I'm getting it, but what is her deal, right? And then after the film, she was like, okay, I got what the deal was. That this was the constant, all her life, Rubaiyat urf Ruby, who refused to even take the name given by her father, which is Rubaiyat. She was constantly trying to run away from the home and make her own identity, an identity which was devoid of any judgment. And she was running away from all the judgment that was also, the father hated what, her professional choice was, many things, right? And her whole angst about how the mother went away and things like that. So there was a lot of pain that she had, which got resolved. But it's an actor thing that what you said, that although there was so much, the scenes could be played out in a bitter way, but although there was bitterness inside, there was also empathy for each other.
I like that when finally coitus interruptus or sex happens between the two Parsis. They roll off each other and they both have glee on their face.
Yes, we
because in some way there's been victory.
I think also Khushrobag a feeling of calm pervaded.
It was also shot at 6 a.m. after we had shot for 14 hours already.
It's the opposite of Peter Pan.
So it was true victory. It was true. It was method acting. It was true victory.
Because in that moment,
it's also him feeling very cold and screaming every time water. I have a whole set of anecdotes about Prateik feeling cold, but please.
It's also really funny. One of the bloopers.
Let him finish his tarif.
I mean, I just mean that.
Do not interrupt, Rishi.
One act, and it's beautiful that there would be catharsis in both of them after that, looking up.
Oh, that was such a lovely shot.
For entirely different reasons.
It is such an uneven shot and it's taken from top and we're just doing our thing and it's actually a mess.
It is.
And it was a mess while we were doing
Yes,
it.
it
And
was.
the fact that there was no isko sanitize.
I remember both of us falling asleep.
It was so good.
I remember us falling asleep as well.
And my hand was
It
broken.
was also tricky because he can't handle cold, so every time we put sweat in him, he'll scream. Kubra's left arm, if you notice, through
Was
the entire
broken.
movie, if you watch it again, is immobile because it's technically broken. And
Ayyo.
before and after cut in action, we would put a cast on it.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
through the
More
movie, she's
power.
like this.
It was
Soldier.
5 days into my
Soldier,
injury
straight up.
and it
My
took
God.
me 4.5 months in the cast after.
And I was going to say
So
that
this is on day
Kubbra
5.
and
This is
Prateik,
mad.
very brave of you to take on these parts. And I meant her being the bitch initially, and then him being, oh my god, I'm not good in bed. Brave, but this is bravery to another level. Incompetent. I want to talk about the music. It's very refreshing.
We got
I'll tell you why.
we got
Why? It's because unlike a lot of traditional pop and rock lovers who like the concept of guitar and keyboards and drums, I like a little bit of electronic pop. I like a little bit of electronica in my pop, and I find that in your music. So who's your music director? Was that the brief to make it electro pop?
Yeah, so in this one I decided to not go with one music director. We contacted this company called Anara Music, who supervised music, like Ankur Tiwari recommended him because he does the same thing as well, right? And he wasn't available. And they basically got me samples from various different people who I briefed, and then they sent in demos, and I selected these two. So they're both by different sets of people. So the title track is by Chandan, Surya and Siddharth Basrur. Siddharth and Surya sang, and the lyrics are by Surya and Chandan, from which we got the title as well.
I have so much love for Siddharth Basrur. He's a
So they do a lot of ads and stuff like that, and film music as
I
well.
saw him on stage in a musical. Oh, Jesus Christ Superstar. No, one of those things. Clinton had done the music for it.
They came up with this track, and I mean, my brief was actually to them because I knew that I was going to shoot part of it at a Pride Parade, which is another separate set of anecdotes I can tell you about. Genuinely. So I was like, I want a song which is a celebration.
Well done on the Dua Lipa bit, brother.
Which one?
We with the shorts and going.
Yes.
That's what I call it, Dua Lipa bit.
I wanted it to be a celebration, and my brief to all my music composers, including BGM, which Sagar did, is I don't want to hear anything traditional. If you can make me ask you what that instrument is or what that sound is, then you've succeeded. I mean, use a hang drum, use whatever, use stuff that we haven't heard before.
Very nice.
So that was the brief for this. The second song actually is which I.
This is Sagar Desai.
Sagar Desai did the BGM, who is the husband of Arpita, who wrote the film.
He did Quick Gun Murugan for Shashank Ghosh back in the day.
I think so. He has
He did
also done a lot of
Jatin
Rajat. He does a lot of
Lagan.
Rajat's work as
Fabulous.
well.
Mithya.
He did. Anyway. The second song was by this lovely artist from New York called Subi, who sings. Lovely voice, 2-3 singles out, which are great, Lapata, etc. Just came out of them last week, and the production was by this guy called Ed Jeter in London. So it was one of those. We did the whole thing on Zoom, and if you notice, the structure of the song is so unusual because there's no mukhda antara like that.
Yeah.
It's literally progressive.
Yeah.
It's like a nazm almost. It's one verse, then the chord changes, another verse, chord changes, third verse. It literally just keeps escalating till the end. And
This
for
is
me,
the second song.
the second Jile Tu,
Yeah.
and the brief was there. I mean, I think Fix You was kind of my reference. I was like, I want an anthem. I want something
Nice.
that kind of takes you through the coming of age of this guy. So I got lucky because there were a whole lot of demos that I heard, but these two kind of stood out.
And who's this wonderful actress who goes on the road journey with them?
Freddie.
So that's the non-binary character.
Oh,
they
beautiful.
They are a person called Freddie Love. I very ambitiously wrote a non-binary character because I wanted to cast somebody who was also non-binary, which is something that we've started seeing in the West in a few shows here and there recently. It was not easy, man. It took me like a month and a half. I put out an open casting call on Instagram. I couldn't find somebody to do the role, and then when I was in London on Recce, I remember, ready to shoot almost, and I met Freddie and they clicked. They have this, so the costume they're wearing in the Pride Parade, they have this act where they do this whole, that's their costume, that
act.
Harlequin costume.
Drag king.
So they do a drag king act, and it was, I'll be very honest with you, it took a little bit of adjustment for the unit as well to change pronouns while talking to somebody and to respect and understand that, which is why that line in the movie that you don't need to get it, you just need
You
to
just have to
respect
accept
it
it
and
and
accept
respect
it.
it. Yeah.
I was
Beautiful.
That was such a beautiful line.
That was
I've
that
used
was-
it.
And we are
Already.
I'm going to start using it now.
we
I've
actually
used the line.
really good friends, and I remember the first time I was really excited to know who's playing the part, because it's really my favorite part of the script. And I remember meeting Freddie the first time in my room, the other room, and in London, and we met. It was just like, they're so impressive, they're fabulous as an actor, but also as a human being, and they're very, very funny. And so I remember they left.
Badass.
I looked at Danish, I was like, oh my god.
What I
we
also
got them.
did very
bad.
deliberately in the film, which I like doing in every movie, in Breaking Bad I did that, even this film I did that. I like putting people and, for example, from different religions together and then never referring to it ever in the movie, even in this one, if you notice. So with Freddie, the non-binary, I've never mentioned it, I've never said it. A lot of people have said who's she, a lot of people have said who's he. And I like the fact that it generates that conversation, because making an issue out of it is easy. We all do that. You can make a film about Hindu Muslim, and then that becomes the crux of the film. But I mean, she's Muslim, he's Parsi, she's Parsi. It doesn't make a difference. Don't talk about it.
Why Jhamela? Now, Jhamela, the word, is not very used in Bombay.
Yeah.
It's a very, actually, it's shiny, it's a Calcutta word.
Jhamela.
Is it?
Yeah, it's a very Calcutta Jhamela.
Jhamela.
The Marwadis will use it, the Bongs will use it, everybody will use Jhamela. So, where did that come from?
I am terrible at titles. I have not been able to give a single title to any of my projects. I'm not responsible for any of them. Break Ke Baad came with the title attached to the story from Ankur Tiwari had written the story. So in this case, we were again in a, there was a working title which I hated and I didn't want to call it that.
As I say, I'm the Khwaab, you're the Jhamela.
I am what? The tabela.
On that funny note, guys, it's on Jio Cinema Premium. Yeah, it's only 99 rupees or something a subscription.
29.
Wow.
Yes.
29 rupees a month. 29. I stand corrected.
We are
Subscription.
not in 1990. We are in 2024.
So beautiful. So please get yourself a subscription to watch it. It's really worth it. If you don't want to have one, if you have one, then great. And please go give it a lot of love. It is streaming as we speak. Khwaabon Ka Jhamela. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Rishi. Thank you.
94.3 Radio 1.